Hello, my name is Catherine Biondo, and I am a senior law librarian at the Northeastern University School of Law Library. This is the Introduction to Legal Research lesson on secondary sources. In this lesson, we will talk about how primary sources are different from secondary sources in legal research and how secondary sources can make you a better researcher. We will also discuss how some of the most frequently used secondary sources work. There are two types of sources in legal research: primary and secondary sources. Primary sources are the law itself, what comes officially from a government body, be it federal, state, or local, or from the United States or a foreign country. From the courts, we get judge-made law or cases. From the legislator come statutes and ordinances. From the executive branch of government, we get regulations from administrative agencies, as well as executive orders. Constitutions and charters that govern a jurisdiction are also law. The other type of source is a secondary source. Secondary sources are, essentially, everything else written about the law. Secondary sources are most often books and articles found in print and online databases. They are generally created by experts in the fields, such as law professors, legal scholars, judges, and practicing lawyers. But no matter how prominent the author or how wise the legal reasoning, secondary sources are not law. They are never binding or mandatory authority, meaning that a court is not required to follow them. They can only be used to persuade. So, if secondary sources are not binding and they are not law, why do we use them? There are many reasons. The smart legal researcher knows how valuable secondary sources can be. Secondary sources lead us to relevant primary law, as well as to other secondary sources. They help us to interpret the meaning of a law or legal terminology and to understand challenging legal concepts. Importantly, secondary sources can save a lot of time with your research. Attempting to research a legal issue or develop a legal argument by looking only at primary sources would be inefficient at best and incomplete or inaccurate at worst. Secondary sources allow us to benefit from someone else's organization and analysis. Secondary sources are useful at any stage. When you are just starting a research project, they can help you to identify relevant search terms and phrases. They can help give you an overview or an introduction to an area of law and to determine what jurisdiction you are in. When you are farther into your research, already know something about the area of law you're researching, or are starting with a known primary source, they can help give you an in-depth understanding of a topic, determine the arguments on both sides of an issue, and hone your legal argument. As I mentioned before, there are many materials that could be considered secondary sources. For purposes of this lesson, we will talk about some of the most frequently used sources for legal research. These are dictionaries and thesauri, legal encyclopedias, legal periodicals, especially law review and law journal articles, treatises and other books, American law reports, and restatements of the law. When you're just starting your research, legal dictionaries can help you to understand the definition of unfamiliar terms. Whether you're trying to understand what stalking means, as in this example on the left, or you're confused by quid pro quo, stare decisis, or some other Latin term, there's no reason to plod along in a state of confusion when you have legal dictionaries. Come back to them at any point in your research to make sure your understanding of the usage of a term is correct. You may already be familiar with Black's Law Dictionary, which is published by West. The other major legal dictionary is Ballantyne's. The major advantage of Black's is that it is updated regularly, whereas Ballantyne's is not. There are also specialized legal dictionaries available, such as for health law and for tax law. A common companion to the legal dictionary, the legal thesaurus, is a useful brainstorming tool. It takes a legal term and gives you a whole group of synonyms plus related concepts. This can be useful for two reasons. First, it helps you to generate a list of possible search terms. Using this Pickett example here, you have demonstrate, protest, avoid, blackball, and more. So in the event you look up the word picket in a book's index, or you try entering it in an online search engine and don't get the results you want, you have other terms to try. Second, it helps you to think more broadly about your research subject. You may have gone into your research thinking picketing, but you might otherwise have ignored relevant sources talking about boycotts or strikes if you hadn't consulted a legal thesaurus. One of the best legal thesauri is Burton's Legal Thesaurus. It is available in print, but unfortunately not online. Legal encyclopedias are a good way to start your legal research if the topic you are researching is completely unfamiliar to you. Similar to that World Book or Encyclopedia Britannica that you may have used in grade school, legal encyclopedias give you a broad overview of a subject. They are organized alphabetically with detailed tables of contents and indexes, so those terms you just brainstormed using dictionaries and thesauri will come in handy. The two major national legal encyclopedias are American Jurisprudence Second, or AmJur Second, and Corpus Juris Secundum, or CJS. Both cover federal and state topics in American law and have numerous citations to supporting authorities, especially cases, which can be good jumping off points for further research. They are available in print and are updated annually. CJS is also available on Westlaw, and AmJur is available on both Westlaw and Lexis. Many states also have their own legal encyclopedias. Publications with jurisprudence in the title, such as New York Jurisprudence or California Jurisprudence, are a good clue that you're looking at an encyclopedia. Massachusetts has Mass Practice. Whereas the two national encyclopedias cover a broader geographic range, if you know that your research concentrates in a particular state, these state encyclopedias will help you zero in on that state's laws more quickly. If legal encyclopedias give a broad overview of a subject, treatises give a more detailed discussion of a particular area of law and may include analysis of cases and statutes. And as a bonus, they are often written by experts in the field. Their lengthy footnotes will lead you to relevant primary sources and related secondary sources. Treatises may be single volumes or multi-volume sets. You will find a wide variety of them in print and on Lexis, Westlaw, and Bloomberg Law. If the treatise doesn't have the word treatise in its title, which surprisingly few do, you can usually recognize a treatise by other title clues. For example, it may be called blank on blank, in other words, Williston on contracts or Nimmer on copyright, or have the law of in its name, such as the law of securities regulation or American law of zoning. Also look out for horn books, which are abridged versions of treatises published specifically for law students. There are other books that you may find useful for your research. For example, the Nutshell series, an example is shown on the left, gives basic overviews of different areas of law in a concise paperback format. You might pick one up for a quick intro or review. Another type of book is a practitioner's guide. They are written for and usually by attorneys and can provide guidelines or outlines for different areas of practice. You may see these in loose leaf binders, which allows for easy updating. A prime example for Massachusetts is the series published by Massachusetts Continuing Legal Education, or MCLE, an example of which is shown on the right. These are also available on Westlaw, Lexis, and Bloomberg. Legal periodicals can be a pretty broad category, including such things as legal newspapers, newsletters, and bar association publications covering items of interest to the legal profession. When we think of the legal periodicals most important for legal research, however, we are usually thinking of law reviews and law journals. Most law schools publish a law review and one or more law journals containing scholarly articles written by legal scholars, professors, judges, and practitioners, as well as student-written comments or notes. They may be general in coverage, as is the case with most law reviews, or focus on a specific area such as environmental law, international law, or entertainment and sports law. Some bar association sections and academic organizations may also publish law journal with articles in their area of interest, such as the Journal of Legal Education. Law review and law journal articles are written on a range of topics, often on new and cutting-edge areas of law, about which not much else has been written. They often critique the law and advocate for change, and because of the credentials of the authors, they are one of the more frequently cited secondary sources. The articles are heavily researched and therefore will contain comprehensive footnotes citing relevant primary law and other secondary sources. If you find an article written on the topic you're researching, the footnotes can be a goldmine. A law review article citation contains the volume number, the name of the journal abbreviated according to the Blue Book, and the page on which the article begins. This is how you would search for the article. For the article you see here, the citation 127 Harv L. Rev. 1521 refers to an article that is found in volume 127 of the Harvard Law Review, beginning at page 1521. The Blue Book, by the way, is the citation guide for legal materials. At Northeastern, we do not generally subscribe to print law reviews and journals, but you should be able to find all that you need online. Westlaw and Lexis have coverage back to about 1982, and Bloomberg Law is building its collection. A database called Hein Online, which you have access to from the Law Library's webpage, has the most thorough coverage of law reviews and law journals, especially useful since it presents the articles in PDF form, preserving the pagination and layout of the original print document. American Law Reports, or ALR, are unique legal publications from West. Each volume contains a series of articles or annotations centered around a case summary that discuss a topic with extensive references. ALR covers state law topics, and ALR Federal covers federal topics. If you happen to find an ALR annotation on your subject, you will get a thorough analysis of the case law, plus references to other primary sources and secondary sources on the topic. Material is kept current since annotations are regularly supplemented. The indexes and tables of contents are lengthy and easy to use. The drawbacks of ALR is that there may not be one written on your topic, and because the annotations are not necessarily written by experts, they aren't often cited. ALR is available in print and on Westlaw and Lexis. Finally, restatements of the law are one of the more advanced secondary sources to use. They began in 1932 as a way to take U.S. case law on important legal subjects like contracts, torts, or property and format it as a series of clear and concise rules. Today, some restatements reflect what the authors think the law should be. Restatements are created by the American Law Institute, or ALI, a group of legal scholars from across the country, and they go through an extensive review process before publication. They are not law, but they are among the more respected and citable secondary sources. Restatements are not generally used when beginning legal research. They don't cover very many subjects, and their format is not as clear as maybe some of the other secondary sources. You are most likely to use them to find the most respected rule when A, your jurisdiction hasn't yet addressed the issue, or B, the jurisdiction's current position is contrary to what your client's interests are. Restatements are available in print and online through Lexis, Westlaw, and Hein Online. To locate secondary sources in print, use Northeastern's online public access catalog, Scholar OneSearch. This catalog covers the main library, Snell Library, as well as the Law Library's collections. To locate secondary sources using the Law Library's collection of subscription databases, go to the Law Library's webpage and select Law School Databases. We also have access to a variety of databases for social science and other research offered by Snell Library. A link to these is also available from the Law Library's webpage. Ask me or another librarian if you need help using the catalog or databases to find secondary sources. This concludes the lesson on secondary sources. Don't forget to answer the quiz questions that follow on TED-Ed. If you have any questions about this or any other lesson, you can ask any reference librarian. Stop by the info desk or email us at lawresearchhelp@neu.edu. Thank you.